What is going on? A little bit late this morning, a little bit chaotic this morning, not going to lie. But the great news for me, anyway, is my business coaches just launched their next in person event, and I've officially got a ticket. So I'm heading off to Kelowna. So, Cole, Brian, if you guys see this, super stoked to see you guys again in January. I also got onto their podcast yesterday, which was super cool, super fun. I think that's dropping later today, so I'll make sure to post something about it when that drops as well. But as always, we are here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. MST, in order to bring you another episode of the Elite Development Podcast. We're going to be doing that in about a minute, but before we get into the show, before we get into the podcast, first, I wanted to thank those who are tuning in right now. Make sure to drop a comment and let me know who you are, where you're at, and if you're an athlete, what you're struggling with right now. The more of those comments I get, the more people I hear that are struggling with things, the more podcasts I can create that are going to more directly help you. So if you want me to dig into a specific topic, something around athlete development that you are struggling with right now, make sure to drop that in a comment. And in about 30 seconds, we're going to be getting into the show. And today we're going to be talking about momentum. We're going to be talking about why we lose momentum. We're going to be talking about the power of momentum. And we're going to be talking about how to make sure that you never lose momentum again. So if you are an athlete that is trying to reach new levels in the sport, trying to level up, trying to improve, trying to build a career in a sport, this is going to be a good one for you. You're going to want to stick around. Stick around yourself and tag someone in the live stream to make sure that they're sticking around too to get this message. But talking about momentum, and we're going to get into the show here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are going to be talking about momentum. So, first off, when I talk about momentum, what are we talking about? So the first thing is we're going to talk about what momentum actually is. Then we're going to talk about the power of momentum, why it is so important for you when you are building a career in a sport. Number 3, we are going to be talking about why we lose momentum. And then number 4, we are going to be talking about how to never lose momentum again. So if you are an athlete and you are tuned into this right now, make sure that you stick around so that you can hear not only what momentum is, why it's important, but how to make sure you keep it. So first off, we're going to talk about that feeling of momentum. So if you're an athlete tuned into this right now or listening back on the podcast, the YouTube channel, whatever else it might be, let me know if this resonates with you. Do you ever go through those times where everything just feels like it's going your way? You know, you wake up in the morning, you've already got energy. You wake up in the morning, you're excited to tackle the day. You've got 3-4 hours of training to do. You've got work to do. You've got whatever else. And everything just flows. Everything feels like it's going your way. Nothing feels like it could ever go wrong. You're excited to tackle the day. You're getting so much out of your training. Your coaches are loving what they're seeing from you. Everything is just going perfect. Have you ever experienced, an extended period of time where that seems to be life for you? I know I have for sure in my business, and I know that there are many athletes out there that know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this is an amazing feeling, right? This is, it's such a great feeling when you can just wake up every day excited, wake up every day with energy, wake up every day ready to go at what you have to do that day 100% and just get the most out of every single day. But what happens when you lose that feeling? What happens when you hit that day where, all of a sudden things don't feel like they're going quite right anymore? You don't have that same energy as when you woke up. You don't have that same ability to just get up and attack everything that you have to do. I know I've been through those periods as well. And it is definitely not nearly as fun than the feeling of being in momentum, the feeling of everything going your way. So how great do you think not just your career as an athlete would be, but how great do you think your life would be if you could stay in momentum all the time? If every single day for the rest of time, you could wake up excited, wake up with energy, wake up ready to tackle the day, wake up with that feeling of being able to just do anything and know that nothing was ever going to go against you again. Now, obviously, we can't promise feeling perfect every single day. I'm not some snake oil salesman dickhead that's going to try to promise you something that doesn't exist. But we're going to go over today some tricks on what you can do to make sure that you never fall into that opposite trap of waking up not wanting to do anything, waking up not being able to tackle the day, waking up not being able to make progress towards your goals in your career ever again. So the power of momentum, when things are feeling that good, when things are, always feeling like they are going your way, feeling like nothing is ever going to go against you again. What is the power of that? The power of that feeling is simple. It's easy to attack your day when it feels good. Those are the times where you can make so much more progress because you're not having to drag yourself into the gym. You're not having to drag yourself into class. You're not having to drag yourself into the grocery store to buy your meals, to do whatever. You're excited to get to all of that. That means it's easy to make more progress. And what happens when you're an athlete trying to reach new levels, when you're in a position where you can make more progress? What happens is clear. It's simple. You go further faster. You get better faster. Everything improves at a faster rate when you are feeling in momentum, when you are feeling good, when you are feeling powerful. Everything gets better at a faster rate. So that brings me to my next point. This is the feeling that we all want to keep. This is the feeling we all want to have forever. That feeling of momentum, that feeling like nothing can go wrong, that feeling like everything is going to go your way forever. That is the feeling we all want to keep. So why do we lose it? What happens that pulls us out of momentum and pulls us into the pit, as I like to call it, but pulls us into that feeling of just having to drag ourselves around all the time, just having to, not feeling like anything's going to go your way? What happens that creates that feeling? So the first thing that happens that creates that feeling is laziness. There are times where everything's going great, all of that, and then you just decide, oh, I just won't do it today. And then I just won't do it today turns into I just won't do it this weekend, turns into I just won't do it this week, turns into 3 months later, you've fallen way off track, and now you've got to restart from scratch. So my number one tip for you, which should hopefully be pretty obvious, is if you want to keep momentum, keep fucking working, keep moving forward, keep doing the things you know you need to do. But if you're doing all the right things, if you're continuing to push forward and you're still feeling like you're falling out of momentum, number two is trying to stick to an unreasonable routine. Now, what do I mean when I say this? Because, of course, if you are an athlete, hard work is essential to your success. Hard work is essential for you to succeed long-term in a sport, in really anything. So what do I mean when I talk about sticking to an unreasonable routine? So as an example, for myself, a little while ago, I entered a challenge where one of the first parts of the challenge was wake up 1 hour earlier than you do right now, every day for a month. And when I started that, I felt awesome. I was waking up at 4:15 in the morning and I was getting a ton done every day. Everything was feeling great. I was in massive amounts of momentum. Things were feeling really, really good. And then I realized over time that I wasn't really getting enough sleep, but I compensated with an extra cup of coffee here, an energy drink there, just kind of making sure that I had the energy to get through my day. And everything was going great. My business was exploding. My social media following was getting bigger. Everything that I was working on, my fitness goals were staying on track. Everything I was working on was feeling really good. Now, as I got through that month, I decided, why not? I've been doing this for a month. It's feeling really good. I'm going to keep going. And over the last couple of weeks, continuing on that path, continuing on that hour earlier wake up, not getting enough sleep, compensating with caffeine, I hit a wall about 10 days ago, probably now. I hit a wall where I woke up in the morning at that 4:15 wake up, literally walked into the other room, lay down on the floor and fell asleep again. And my body just had nothing left to give. And I'm pretty good at understanding when it's the difference between I have nothing left to give and I don't really feel like it that day. And I had a lot of those days through that month. Things were feeling good, but I'd still wake up in the morning. It's still 4:15 a.m. I didn't really want to get up every morning, but I made myself do it. And then I got started into my day and things felt great. But about 10 days ago, I hit that wall of just, I had nothing left. And when I hit that, my first instinct was, I got to push through, just keep going anyway. It's like, okay, I slipped up a little bit. I slept a little extra, but now keep going, keep grinding. And that whole day just felt like absolute dog shit, to put it nicely. And because that day felt so shitty, that's when I was able to realize for myself, this isn't me being soft. This isn't me not wanting to work. This isn't me, deciding that I'm not going to try to push through it today. This is legitimately me hitting my limit. This is legitimately me saying, I've got nothing left. And when I have nothing left, it's time to reevaluate my routine. And so that is what got me into thinking about what I'm talking to you guys about today, was hitting that wall myself and understanding that I had reached my limit and my body just had nothing left to give. So that was the feeling of falling out of momentum. And the reason that that's so important is because so many of you out here hit that burnout and then continue to train at full capacity anyway. And I just saw a comment come in asking if I have any recovery videos. I'm actually working on that this week, so make sure to stay tuned for that too. But that was the reason that I got into this episode, is because so many of you hit that wall and you continue to try to just train through it. And I understand the mindset. I understand the mindset of, grinding through anything, keep pushing harder. You're an athlete, you're a beast, you're a warrior, blah, blah, blah. You do hit a point where your body's hit its limit. And when your body hits that limit, going in, especially if you're a combat athlete, going into a sparring session when you're burnt out and just getting punched in the face for an hour is not going to be beneficial to your career long term. I understand you want to be there because you're part of the team, you want to keep working, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to benefit you long term. So when you start feeling that burnout, how do you feel that burnout and continue to make progress? And that is what I really want to get into here. So if you've stuck around so far, I appreciate you. What we're going to talk about there is creating the minimum weekly requirements. So your minimum weekly requirements are the routine that you can stick to regardless of what is happening in your life, regardless of what is going on, regardless of feeling burnt out, regardless of anything else that you've got going on. This is the routine that you stick to anyways. And this is the routine that continues to help push you forward and continues to help create progress when your body is not feeling up to it, when your brain is not feeling up to it, when you have hit that burnout level. Because something I've said many times on all my social media accounts, many times on this podcast, many times to all the athletes I work with, or really anybody that I've had a conversation with, is what I need you to remember is more is not always better. More is not always better. Doing more hours does not mean that you're getting more benefit. Being in the gym longer does not mean that you're getting more benefit. If you are burnt out and you're going into spar and you're getting lit the fuck up and you're getting hit and kicked and punched and elbowed, that is not beneficial to you. What is beneficial to you is coming in feeling good, feeling refreshed, and making sure that you're improving, not just spending more time. But getting into the minimum weekly requirement, the minimum required routine. So no matter what, this routine always gets done. So when it comes to an athlete, the way to structure this routine is, again, figure out the non-negotiables. So figure out the non-negotiables. So when I say this, I don't mean figure out all the training you try to do every single week. What I mean is figure out what you need to make sure you get done regardless of how you're feeling. So that can be, again, base minimum. The ones I had written down are, you need to make sure every week that you're meal prepping, because if your body's going into training and you're not properly fueled, that's going to be a problem. So having that one day that no matter what else is going on in your life, no matter how you're feeling, anything like that, you get your meal prep in, is going to be a non-negotiable to continue to succeed at a high level. Now, number two, let's talk MMA fighter. If you're an MMA fighter and let's say you've got a striking background, you can say minimum weekly requirement. And again, this is not me telling you this is all you should be doing. This is me telling you, regardless of how you're feeling, make sure you get this. Let's say 1 striking class per week and 2 grappling classes per week. And if you can hit those 3 sessions every single week, regardless of how you're feeling, what's going on in your life, etc., now you're going to continue to make progress. Because again, more does not equal better. Better equals better. And if you're coming in at 30%, getting punched and kicked and elbowed and just lit up in a training session, that's not benefiting your career. Taking brain damage that you don't need to take is not benefiting your career. But if you can get in for that 1 class, keep working on your technique, keep improving, keep doing things that are going to push you forward, now you're going to continue to make progress. Even if it's not as many classes as you can possibly fit into your week, you're going to continue to make progress even when you hit that burnout. And the reason I said 1 striking class and 2 grappling classes is, again, making sure you're judging based off of who you are and what you need. If you've got more of a striking background, in order to continue to make progress, you don't need as much of it. Going to more of the grappling classes are going to, again, continue to make the most progress for you while you're pushing that limit. Now, the next thing as well is talking about strength and conditioning. So as a strength and conditioning coach, my recommendation for you would be to state 2 minimum strength and conditioning sessions per week, regardless of how you're feeling, regardless of where you're at, regardless of feeling like you're pushing the limit. And simply by setting this minimum weekly requirement, and again, this is an example, you can create it for what works best for you, but simply by setting this minimum weekly requirement, you're going to continue to be able to push forward. You're going to continue to be able to make progress. And in turn, you're not going to ever have those times where you just fall off the map and have to restart from zero. Even if the progress slows down every once in a while, you're going to continue to push forward week after week regardless. And that ultimately is our goal when we're creating the best athlete we can make. Because again, more training is not better. Better training is better. And so recovering and feeling good is going to benefit you more than just grinding through it when your body's truly burnt out. But I know that's going to trigger some people, because people are going to be talking about how, again, you've got to work hard. You've got to push through it. You've got to grind. And yes, you're absolutely correct. There are going to be days that you don't want to train that you still should. And there are going to be days where you don't want to train where you shouldn't. So how do we find the difference? How do you find the difference between I've got nothing left to give and I should not be training today versus I'm just feeling kind of bad and I don't really want to train today? So the difference for me, and again, I'm quite good, I feel, at being self-aware. So the first key is self-awareness. But the difference for me is when I wake up in the morning and I don't feel like getting to work, I don't feel like getting to the gym, I don't feel like getting to the things that I know I have to do that day, the first thing I go to is my vision. The first thing I go to is what I have in my vision for my future, the things I want to accomplish in my career, the things I want to accomplish in my life, the example I want to be for my future children, for my future family. And if I think about those things, what happens is that gets me out of bed. That gets me going. That gets me working. But on the days where I sit and I think over those things, I look back at who I want to become, all of that, and I still think I can't do it today, that's when my brain knows this is not me being lazy. This is not me being soft. This is me legitimately needing that day away. And so for all of you guys, I will challenge you to find that same trigger, find that same feeling, find that same moment where you can tell the difference for yourself between this is me being soft and this is me truly needing that day away, truly needing to just stick to the minimum weekly requirement and get through the day or get through the week. So I hope this was valuable. I hope you got something out of this. I still see a few people on the live stream. So if you have any big takeaways, I'd love to hear them. Make sure to drop a comment on there. For all of you tuning into the podcast, whether you're here live or whether you're listening back to it on the replay, on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, any of those other places, I appreciate you taking the time to tune in today. And I have one ask of you. If you've been listening to the show, if you've been tuning in and you've been getting value from it, please share this with someone you train with, share this with a teammate, share this with a friend. make sure that we're continuing to spread this message, because our industry has a lot of issues. I won't get into them all right now, but our industry has a lot of issues, and I want to help be a voice for the athletes that feel like they're grinding themselves through the floor. And I want to help be a voice for the athletes that truly are dedicated to learning how to make a career in sport properly and not just grind themselves into the floor and be done before they start. So if that's you, if you know someone that needs to hear that, please share this episode and share this podcast with them so we can continue to make a difference in the world of elite performance sport. That is it for me. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you all again soon.